And we're live finally. I was waiting for him to push the live button. I hope you guys are having a fantastic Sunday. I don't know if you guys heard, I have made the top 10 of real estate agents on YouTube. I don't know how they compiled that list because there was some really good YouTubers they completely missed. You know, our good friends Jeb Smith wasn't on there. Javier Vidana was not on there. Jason Walter wasn't on there. So I don't like. I was kind of like miffed. I mean, it was like, yes, thank
Imposter
you.
syndrome.
No. Those are guys that do a good job. I mean, like seriously, a good job. So I was a little upset. I was sad for them because they deserve that award. You know, just at least to be recognized. Javier does just as good as like as far as numbers and subscribers as I do, and he should have been mentioned. But anyways, that's beside the point. We're talking about all sorts of things. You guys already have some really good questions coming in here. We are going to be talking about, where are all these cash buyers coming from and who the heck are they? Because some of the culprits may not be who you think they are. The other thing is we're going to be talking about, there's a lot of stuff going around in the overseas, and how somebody put a question in there, and I'm going to address this on how we think it is going to affect our housing market with the tensions overseas. And we have a very special guest. We only have him for a solid 25 minutes. Is Matt Kelderman, the man from Dallas, Fort Worth area. Hello, my friend Matt Kelderman. How are you?
I'm good. We made the mistake of scheduling a client event, so I'm literally leaving here to go watch Goonies. That's what we're watching.
I love that movie.
We have a client event. We're all going to go watch the Goonies.
That's so fun.
Yeah, we got. I think we got. I don't know how many people coming. I don't keep track of that stuff, but people are coming, and I have to be there.
What didn't he have to do, like this thing where he did he lifted up his shirt and he had to do the truffle shuffle?
Yeah, the truffle shuffle, exactly.
He had to do
the truffle shuffle my whole way in.
Yeah. Oh, you should do it. Oh, please do. Please record it. Tag me on Instagram.
I'll post it on the gram.
On the gram. I don't post anything on the gram, but if you guys actually have a question that you want to ask and you want your darling face to be up here on the screen, if you post it on Instagram and tag me in it, I will gladly put you up on the screen and you can ask your question where you see yourself right here on the live stream. I know that would be kind of fun for some people if you want to do that. I don't know if you know this, Matt. Several months ago, I decided that I was going to post the link to my StreamYard, and I'm like, hey, you just come on and ask questions. And that didn't go as well as I thought it was going to, because people got camera shy. They got all excited, and then they were like, whoops.
Oh, wait, I'm actually on. I got to get out of here. Yeah.
Yeah, now I got to talk, So I was like, not going to do that again. Not going to do that again. So, Matt, I want to ask you this. You have a lot of cash buyers in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas is extremely busy. I wouldn't say it's as busy as Austin, Texas, but it's still like smoking hot as far as a real estate market goes. We've been seeing lots more cash buyers again, which I'm shocked. I don't know where people are digging this cash from. And it isn't just from investors. Who are some of your cash buyers that you're seeing in your area?
There's two really, right? There are the sellers that are fortunate enough to be in a position where they're selling their home and making enough money and maybe downsizing. If it's an older group of sellers that are maybe empty nesters type of thing, a lot of what we're seeing is people who aren't able to make that cash jump are using different programs, right? Like Divvy or Homeward or I don't know, some of these other ones where essentially they're either purchasing the person's home from them outright, so then they have the cash to go non-contingent, or there are different loan programs that take people who are essentially conventional buyers and make them cash buyers. And then I assume there's a refinance and a fee somewhere down the road, right? Like, because everybody's got to get paid. But
we're going to be talking
that's where
about
it's coming from.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about that a little bit later, because I actually have, you guys remember from last week, I had Trevor Smith on here, and he is a mortgage broker and real estate agent. And he kind of just right at the end mentioned a program where they make the offer, even though you are getting a home loan, they basically make you have this offer, but it looks like cash, right? So it looks like a cash offer. And we're gonna be talking about that a little bit more and a little bit later on when Trevor comes on, when you decide to bail on us. But Eddie has an article, a little article for us. I found it super interesting because there's a lot more programs for that. So that way they do have a strong as a buyer, which is something to look at least. If if you're not winning all these offers and you need that cash offer to make it strong, it's not something bad to look at. We'll be talking about this a little bit later. The other one, Eddie, the other article. We're going to be
I
talking
do
about
love
this.
the name of this program though, because there's so many different names. I just like this one's called Homie Cash.
Homie. Yeah, you remember Homie the Clown? Remember that
Yeah,
years
oh,
ago?
absolutely. Yeah, hell yes.
Homie
I'm
Cash.
43. That was my wheelhouse. So.
I'm way older than you. I'm way older than you. All right, before rushing into the hot market, here's how to set yourself up for success. CNBC. This came from their thing. This was the most interesting thing about it, though. Looking for a new home may seem like a daunting task these days. Prices are up, inventory is low, mortgage rates are rising. That's why in this environment, it does pay to do your homework before you enter the market. Once you start looking, you have to move at lightning speed to place an offer, explains Jessica Laus, the Vice President of Demographics and Behavior Insights from the National Association of Realtors. As interest rates are climbing, there has been a rush to lock in lower relative rates, and while at the same time inventory of homes hits all-time lows, she said. All right, scroll down, Edward. Scroach. This is the part that I found extremely interesting. Ready? The median price in January jumped to $350,300, an increase of 15.4% from January 2021. So in 1 year, they're saying that it's gone up 15.4%. According to the National Association of Realtors, homes are spending an average of 19 days on the market. Meanwhile, mortgage rates for the 30-year fixed loan is 4.17, which many real estate agents said it wouldn't go over 4 this year, which they were wrong. According to the Mortgage Daily News earlier this year, they were less than 3%, as we know. And with that in mind, here's what you can do to put yourself in the best position to find a new home. So, this is the typical stuff that we talk about. Learn the language, work with a real estate agent. It's all the same stuff. But the part that I found really interesting is how much home prices actually have gone up since last year. Because they were like, oh, it's only gonna be like 7%. now I'm like, in some areas it's 16, some areas it's like 20, 22.
Yep.
What is it in the Dallas Fort Worth area?
We're at 19 and a half.
See?
And like 11 days on market. And that's what I keep kind of like trying to tell people. And, you and I have been doing this for, I don't know how long now, maybe call it a year just for a nice round number. But I can remember like there were people like, hey, this whole thing's going to fall. Imagine, and I even kicked myself in the butt for this. Imagine if I had bought just any property 12 months ago. You're sitting on, in DFW, potentially 20% of equity. And maybe you guys can tell me what you think the end of this is. Maybe it's geopolitical stuff going on. Maybe it's interest rates, because I do think they're going to get a lot closer to 5 before the end of the year. I was never the person saying 4. They're already at 4.15, and we haven't even technically had this first rate hike yet. That's coming next month. Right. And 5% is still okay, right? Like historically, it's still fine, right? But like, where's the end of this? Because I don't think it's inventory, because I'm not seeing it here. I talk to sellers every day, and I cannot get them off the fence to list their house. And new build starts are down by 1.2 million. So I just don't know where the inventory is coming from.
People keep saying that it's going to be the interest rates that drive the market down. The thing is every time they have an interest rate hike, the phones start ringing more. Every time there's just a slight, the phones even ring more. So it's not, if there's any buyers that are on the fence right now, it's not because of interest, that isn't the thing that is going to skew them away, is interest rates. It drives them even faster. I can't see where the homes are going to come from. When this all started, when this whole thing started, I thought by now we would have a huge wave of foreclosed properties, but that was because of so many people that had taken the forbearance. At the beginning, it was like 7.1, like, I don't know, it was a ridiculous amount of people that took the forbearance, but then they kept extending that plan, and all these people have fallen off, and it's less than a million homeowners now that are on forbearance. Not only that, there was also a bucket of homes that didn't go on the market that were the banks were holding because of foreclosures. And I thought, oh, well, I mean, how many of that? That's going to be a lot of, that's terrible. Well, it come to find out that they just took those, bunched them up and handed them over to investors. You know, they didn't care. You know, they were like, whatever, we'll just package these up and give it to some investment firm and they can turn them into whatever they want, you know. I mean, it's like, you're right. Where's the inventory going to come from? I don't know, because home builders, it's not that they don't want to build homes. They would love to. They can't get enough supplies.
Yeah. I mean, look, and here's the thing is builders, and I don't think they're doing this with any nefarious intent. They just have to do what's best for them. They've even gotten to the point where they're just rewriting their own rules. We had an agent on our team the other day whose client had to bail out of a new home purchase contract because they had the money, right? The builder really had no ability to dictate them selling their home. But the builder said, if your home is not on the house or not on the market and under contract by X date, we are terminating your loan, right? Their loan was not subject to them selling this house. There's no contingency. Your confused face was confused because I told this other agent, I was like, you go raise all kind of hell about that, right? But builders are actually attempting, because one, I think builders would like to have the inventory back that they got under contract 3 months ago because it just goes up 2%. Seems like every month anyways. But you and I talked about this last year, some of the things that builders were doing, and this is a large nationwide builder. I don't think they were doing anything squirrely. I think whatever leverage they have, though, they're forcing people into positions to where they're ensuring that the few limited bit of inventory they have to sell, they're getting premium dollar for it. Because what I feel like has really happened, and maybe this will be the pop of inventory, is that we're about to reach kind of a screeching halt for most real estate agents to be able to perform their job. I tend to think I'm pretty solid at what I do. And it is so hard to get sellers to agree to sell and buyers who can compete in this market because of how we started this conversation, cash buyers, appraisal gap coverages. That's where I do think some of the conversation around terminology is important, because people do need to understand really what an appraisal gap coverage is. They really need to understand their must-haves and must-have-nots, because you get into this market and you start making emotional decisions. And you're like, I absolutely do not want a house that has all the bedrooms upstairs. That was a nightmare last time. My knees and back aren't what they used to be. I'll never move into another house like that. And then you start getting your face kicked in by this market and you're like, screw it. I'll buy a 3-story house and all the bedrooms can be on the roof for all I care. Just give me a house, right? Like I don't even care, right? So like getting really firm and having an agent who really understands those types of things. I've got clients right now that I have to remind them, guys, we still have 6 weeks. I know it feels like you've been getting your teeth kicked in for a while, but you still have 6 weeks. You didn't want a townhome. You wanted a single family home. We're not up against the wall yet, right? Like those are the types of things I think you need to be really, really clear on as a buyer in this market, is understanding the appraisal gap coverage, what the inspection waiver means for you in your state and what your outs really are, and sticking to your game plan, because that's the easiest thing to deviate from for sure.
Right. But there are some people that are unrealistic. I don't know about you, but I've had a few people that are like, very much so. They're not from this area. And then, they'll come in and they'll be like, oh, I'm going to come in. I want to buy this house. And the house is listed at $340. I think it's overpriced. Well, according to the market, no, it's not overpriced. It's fair. Well, I bet that they can take less. I mean, they bought it for $240.
That's my favorite.
They bought it for $240, so they have wiggle room. And then they come in, they want me to write an offer for $300,000. I write it. I'm like, I
write those all day long. I write them for you just to prove my point.
Right. And they're like, do you think they'll take it? I said, absolutely not. No, they're not going to take that. And he's, oh, well, I'm offering cash. I don't care if you're offering gold, like it doesn't matter.
I have 2 sellers right now, Matt, you'll love this, who are, move up buyers. It's their starter home that they're selling. And they've been looking for maybe 4 or 5 months now. And I sent both of them new market analysis for what their current starter home is worth. And I had one of the couples reach out to me, husband, who's a very smart guy, said, Tanya, respectfully, I don't think my house is worth this. And I think my house is worth this, which is the amount that I gave him 6 months ago. And I didn't really know how to respond. I was like, well, this is what it is. And he was just like, well, I don't really think it's worth that. So psychologically, people are also questioning what's going on. But then of course they don't want to buy. They don't want to step up into that that bracket, that emotional bracket, whatever that is, 350, 400, 425.
I think some people are scared that their house will be overpriced though. You know, like it's because Matt, and everybody knows this. There's our real estate agents that will be like, I can sell your house for $350,000 and it's only worth $200,000, but they want the listing, so they'll say, I know I could sell it for that amount of money, and then they reduce the price. So I think there is some fear from sellers too that we might be overpricing the houses. But I do want to address this question.
Yeah,
go
please.
ahead, Matt. Go
No,
ahead.
I say we're seeing every metric. This is something that we as a team do at a really, really high level. We track a lot of data, and we're seeing pretty much every metric down 75%, right? Meaning like the amount of homes that expire every month is down 75%. The amount of for sale by owners who are coming on the market is down by, like, everything is just down by such we're still seeing every house that goes on the market sell. Those numbers are up. So I guess the people watching this, don't be confused by the marketing graphics that even I put out that say sold the home in 3 days for 110% of list price. That's actually not like the hard thing to do right now. The difficult thing to do right now, especially I know there's a lot of people who watch this show that are purchasers. It's getting you under contract in a house that's safe for you, that you're going to understand the long-term effects of, because just giving up some equity now isn't the worst thing you can do, right? Overpaying for a house right now, it's not the end of the freaking world, but you need to understand exactly what you're getting yourself into, and if it fits with whatever your long-term plans were when you started this process.
Right.
Shirley Benoit with the $1.99 super sticker. I appreciate you. And then this came up early on, and I know, Eddie, you're going to kill me for putting up a question. And if it came before somebody else's, I'm sorry, but I have to address this because I saw it right away. Karen Gee said, will the Russian invasion of Ukraine mean more supply issues for housing? Ukraine has lots of refineries, so wondering about the petroleum products. Do you have an opinion about this, Matt?
So I do not know. I assume anytime there's petroleum involved, obviously there might be some logistical issues. I know a lot of the things that we have been running into from a supply chain issue in Texas specifically is where we source our lumber, which is Louisiana and Canada, right? Those types of places. I could see that going into maybe, I don't think people realize a lot of these chips are made in the raw materials that comes for a lot of the chips that run your smart home devices, your refrigerator and your sprinkler system and all of those types of things. Now, those are raw materials that come from the Siberia portion of Russia and China area, right? Like, so I could see there being some increased issues with that, but geez, go out and try and buy a stove right now anyways. I don't know how much longer you can wait for a stove. I know if somebody's waited 5 months just for a freaking oven, right? Like something that seems pretty basic. So I do think it could continue to hinder things. I think it's going to have more of an issue on just world financial markets probably than supply chain, because it seems like our supply chain is pretty jacked already.
Yeah.
Eddie is the articleologist. He always comes up with a really good article.
I love it. He's over there Googling like a madman in the background.
I know he does. How a Russian invasion of Ukraine, the breadbasket of Europe, could hit the supply chains. Did they have anything about housing? Eddie said, hold on one second. He's going to scroll down to the specific part. He's so good at this. He's like, whenever you guys ask these questions,
he's a mensch.
Yeah, he's on there. Metals and raw materials. Ukraine has steadily increased its exports over the years and now has a huge provider of raw materials, like Matt said, of chemicals, products, and machinery like transportation equipment, according to, I don't know how to say that name. It's also a major supplier of minerals and commodities, says the analyst said. Ukraine's currency began declining in value since Russian troops started to gather at the border. This will increase the cost of their exports.
That seems pretty logical. When there's a hostile army massed on your borders, it's probably going to bring your dollar down.
Yep. Russia also controls about 10% of the global copper reserves. Oh, that's great.
Plummet.
Yeah, and major producer of nickel, platinum, according to Hong. Nickel is a raw material used in electrical vehicle batteries, and copper is widely seen as a economic bellwether. Bellwether, thank you, is extensively used in electronics manufacturing and construction of homes. I know, like, everybody was ripping out copper during the last recession. The U.S. chip industry has heavily relies on the Ukraine-sourced neon, and Russia also exports a number of elements critical to the manufacturing of semiconductors, jet engines, automobiles, and medicine. But so, to your question, will it affect housing even more? Probably, especially new home builds. they can't offset that cost without passing it on to the consumer. New home, like I've said it and I've said it out loud, and a few people are like, oh, they gasp. You wouldn't catch me dead buying a brand new house right now. Absolutely not, because the wait time, first of all, secondly of time, of all, who knows what interest rates are going to do, how long it's going to take to get there. Who knows what you're getting once it's built? I'm not saying all builders, but some builders have been cutting corners, hiring second-hand type of help just to get some of these houses done. And some of the materials that they're putting them together with, I mean, I don't know if anybody's been on TikTok lately, but there's a few contractors that go around and go, hey, look at this builder. And they're like basically put together like with duct tape. It's terrible. David Hutchinson says, with the $2 super chat, thank you so much for that. I appreciate you. If you guys do have like if you want a super chat and you want like your question like majorly highlighted, your super chats always go up to the top. Just know that for a faxi. All right. Cedra Drag says, I want to buy a house we rent in Metro Atlanta. Owner is thinking about selling. Are issues like roof, flooding, etc. Thinking about getting an inspection to know what to offer. Any advice overall? What is your advice, Tanya? And then I'll go to Matt.
I would say absolutely. First of all, ask them what they want first, because they're in the driver's seat, not you.
Yeah.
And secondly, absolutely get an inspection. And because you are renting the house, my advice would be get an inspection once you know the purchase price that they're asking for. Make sure you're qualified for it. And that way you have that. If they say we don't want an inspection, well, don't even mention that until you've already obtained it, spent the $300-400 for it, and discuss those roof issues and flooding issues with an insurance broker who can give you those price points for it. But purchasing the house before it reaches the market is a great way for you to not be in the crazy marketplace and competing wise. I have a client right now who is trying to do that at the moment. I'm speaking to the sellers through a management company, and that it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, just this year, especially in a market like Atlanta, which I'm sure is incredibly fast paced, like every major metropolitan area, to be able to have something under contract, having to fight people over that alone could save you tens of thousands of dollars potentially, even if the home's priced at market price, right? I do think doing an inspection, you have the unique advantage of kind of living in the house already. You don't really have the time constraints that you might normally have if you were buying the house, and you might skip over some steps because the market's just too aggressive. You got 3 days to do inspection. You're like, screw it. We're just looking for major stuff that's falling apart. You can kind of be doing some of this stuff on the background you want, right? Like call a roofer in the Atlanta area that you trust, right? And reach out to them, have them come over and look for hail damage and other types of things on the roof, right? Same thing with the insurance adjusters and the inspectors. You can kind of do all this in the background on your own before you even really have to engage much conversation with the seller at all, right? It's your house. Call him, make an appointment with an inspector, have him come over for a couple hours, drink some coffee while he looks over the place. You know what I mean? Like whatever. You already live there. So yeah, absolutely. Get an inspection every single time unless you completely understand the risks and are okay with whatever they are. The inspection, if you don't ask for anything, not having one, I think is crazy. At least know where you're jumping off from.
Right. I will say though, like just because they found it in an inspection does not mean the sellers are going to have to fix it. I would say in most states, I don't know, there could be a state that I'm wrong, but in here in Louisiana, you can't, like, just because it was on an inspection report and you ask for it, that does not mean the sellers have to fix it. We do not have a pass or fail inspection.
Correct.
Even if something is not up to code today, that doesn't mean they have to bring it up to code right now. As long as it's functioning part of the house, it's up to you if you want to continue with the sale, even if it doesn't work. If there's a leaky roof, yes, you want to have that fixed. Does that mean the seller has to fix it? No, it does not. So just know that I know that like a lot of people say, well, it failed inspection. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, how does it fail inspection? Nobody writes a stamp on the paperwork. There is no pass or fail, especially in Louisiana. But
if you want someone to guide you through the transaction, reach out to Kristina and she'll connect you with an agent in Atlanta. Like there's a different way that I get paid in these sort of like in-house sales, and I'm shepherding them through the process. And at the end of it, people are like, oh my gosh, I didn't know these 7 service providers you had come out. I get in a timeline like that, I get somebody out for the roof, the HVAC, and the general inspector, so that you have a full picture of what's going on with the house.
Yep. Oh, look,
Oh, that's
Eddie.
my cue to exit. See, Eddie's on.
Yeah. Eddie's on
Aw.
top of it because Matt has a hard stop. He has to work with clients. He doesn't want to talk to us anymore. But we
Work
do
with
have
clients, watch a movie, same thing.
Yeah, but we do have somebody coming in 5 minutes. And you guys remember from last week, Trevor Smith. But we'll forget about Trevor right now. Let's talk about Matt right here.
I won't need a month
He's
to come back on. We'll only come back a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm releasing new vlog content. After the Ryan Serhant thing, I kind of looked at my vlogs, and Kristina had told me this, and we'll peel this back a little bit. They were fine, and they were going nowhere. So I have completely rethought this over the past couple of months and start releasing some new stuff this Thursday, and hopefully it doesn't suck.
Woo.
It won't suck. It won't suck. Well, thank you so much, Matt.
Yes,
It
I
was
appreciate you
great
having me
seeing
on.
you.
I'll do double time next time. I promise.
All right. Thank
Bye
you.
now.
Bye. All right. But look, right on cue.
But wait, there's more.
Hi,
Trevor.
Trevor. There's more.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
So exciting. Yay.
Yeah, it's
I'm
awesome.
so
Thank you
excited.
so much.
You are like right on the money. I mean, like literally he was coming on. I saw you in the background. It's like, dang,
Yeah.
boy, there you
Yeah,
are.
to
fighter
see
pilots are
you.
prompt. You got to be on time, on target.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I have to tell you, I didn't realize David Hutchison just dropped another super chat for $2.
Thanks,
Thank
David.
you. I appreciate you. The only way I see to really escape the insanity is to buy property, convert it to steel building or shed as a home. Yeah, I have tons of videos about this. If you plan on doing a steel building or a shed or anything like that, make sure you have a very good relationship with your local county building code people. Don't start the project without having their like rubber stamp of approval, because you don't want some nosy neighbor start firing up the phone and like having code enforcement after you before you even started your project. If they know about it ahead of time and they get that call, they'll be like, yeah, we know about it. Everything's checked out. It's nice to have those people on your side ahead of time. So just FYI, Trevor. So
Yes.
at the end of last week's show, I don't know if you guys saw it last week. Trevor was here and he was ending it on talking about how people could take their offer and that they have to get a loan. They don't have, 400,000, but it basically would take their offer and make it look like cash. Like, how do you do that? What is this thing?
Yeah, so it's a really kind of neat program that I'm with AFI Mortgage, and so it's a program that we as a lender have come up with really to solve one of the biggest challenges that buyers are having today, and that's not only competing against the cash buyers, but really just when you have so many offers on the table, how do you stand out from the crowd? And what I want to say is this program, like, you may not even need to use it, and here's why. And because the first issue I really want to address is pre-approval letters. Real estate agents are always recommending you get a pre-approval letter, right? You guys do that all the time with the people you're representing. I know that for a fact. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you give that pre-approval letter, I would say about 90% of the time, that letter is really what we in the lending industry refer to as a DU pre-approval. So desktop underwritten is what that means.
Oh, okay.
So
Thank
you
you.
as a buyer, you do a loan application, right? And then they're going to ask you, hey, show us some W-2s, some tax returns, things like that, right? They put all that information into Desktop Underwriter, which is kind of the mortgage industry standard to really give a sanity check of the likelihood of that loan meeting final approval. And it's
Sure.
it really is the industry standard, right? And so that's how they can quickly turn around, and your loan officer or lender can tell you, yep, you're pre-approved, and this is the dollar amount you're pre-approved for. And that's really about 90% of the pre-approval letters that buyers are using today. So, you think your pre-approval letter is special, or your loan officer is telling you, I'm going to put some fancy words in here. They're all pretty much the same when it's a DU pre-approval. What you really need to do is do a fully underwritten loan file. And the reason I'm talking about this is because when you do this, that unlocks multiple doors for you later on, including, the cash buy program that I'm going to touch on. So fully underwritten loan file, it doesn't cost you anything. It's basically front loading all the paperwork, because once you go under contract on a house, you have to do all this paperwork anyways when your loan goes through underwriting. And it's taking all that and it's pushing it ahead of time, but nobody likes to do that, right?
Right.
They're just like,
the
all right,
W-2s, the pay stubs, the financial colonoscopy.
Right. It's because, that loan officer or the lender, they kind of look through that stuff, but it's not until it actually goes to underwriting, because that's when, you've got a contract on a house. that they can do that full final underwriting review and say, oh, by the way, this bank statement, you need to explain why this deposit came in on this date, or, little things like that. But again, nobody wants to do that work ahead of time. They want to wait till they're under contract. And then, hey, I'll go ahead and knock that out. And that's why it typically takes you 25 to 30 days to close, is because of the timeline for underwriting and everything else along with that. So when you are able to do a fully underwritten loan file prior to writing an offer, like for us, that means all we're really waiting on is the appraisal. So you go under contract, all we need back is that appraisal. So that means you can close typically in 2 weeks or less.
And the tax liens from the municipality.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that because
there's a couple little things there, but I mean, like the timeline is really shrunken down. And so you as a buyer, now all of a sudden, when you're presenting that offer to a seller, you're immediately, in my opinion, you're standing out from all the other buyers, because now you can say, I can close in 2 weeks, which is typically, some cash buyers, that's what they're saying, is like, hey, I'll close in 2 weeks. I just need a short inspection period. Right. So that, I think it gives you a huge advantage. With us, the thing that's really nice about it is when you do that fully underwritten loan file, we call it protect your transaction. There's two benefits to that. If you're for everybody, it's basically we give a $15,000 performance assurance guarantee. And so that means if we as a lender, once you've been fully underwritten, if we for any reason fail to deliver on that loan on our part, that's $15,000 of performance assurance that you'll get. We'll cut a check for you. If you're a veteran, teacher, first responder, in those categories, it's $20,000. And what's really nice about that too is, sure, that's great money for you and it's peace of mind for you, but you can assign a percentage of that to the seller as additional earnest money on that contract. So now not only do you have peace of mind, but you can tell the seller, hey, I can close in 2 weeks, and of this $15,000, I'm going to give you $9,000 as additional earnest money if for some reason the lender can't close. So now the seller knows, well, great, like this seems like a huge advantage for us.
Okay. So you're using that like insurance as insurance towards the seller too.
Yep.
I gotcha. That makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. So it's really given the seller the peace of mind that this is it's so much more than your standard pre-approval. Like, this has been a fully underwritten file and it's coming with a performance assurance guarantee. And so now you can receive some sort of monetary compensation in the form of additional earnest money, if we're not able to deliver on that loan like we promised. So that's the first thing I want to talk about, because in order to do our cash buy program, you have to be fully underwritten, because we as a lender, we don't want to be an iBuyer. We're not an iBuyer. We're not here to go out and buy houses and try to flip them. Our goal is to generate more business on the loan side. And so it's providing tools to buyers to allow them to do that. And anytime that we're going to place, the company's going to put their money at stake, on a property, we need to have high confidence that the buyer is going to be fully underwritten and qualified to actually purchase that property.
Right.
Because you're not just handing out free money. I mean, look at it for the people listening who are thinking of buying. Look at it from Trevor's perspective. They're not going to issue this performance guarantee unless you're good to go. And the way they know if you're good to go is if you submit everything they tell you to, lots of financial documents in the foreground, like before you go under contract on a house, before you start really looking.
Because people lie.
She can say that. I can't say that. That's what I'm thinking.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah. Claudia Garcia said, Minnesota VA approved $425,000. Wait another year. Well, that would wait. Hold on. You can shake your head no, but that depends. Even though they might be approved for that. I mean, what does their DTI look like?
Correct.
What is what is your income that you have saved? I mean, is 125 your max, and you're going to be house poor because of that? If everything looks good, and you have the money and you have reserves set up, and this is what you can afford, you can afford that mortgage payment before the interest rates go up. No, don't do that. Don't wait. Find yourself a house, but if it's going to strap you and you're just having FOMO, fear of missing out, then no, don't do that. Don't buy a house. I say it all the time.
I like to automatically set people's alerts. If they don't tell me, if they're like, oh, 425, and then they don't say anything, I just automatically set their alerts at 85% of their pre-approval because I don't want them to be house poor. And because realistically, there's going to be an escalation clause.
I always go over though.
Do you?
Yeah, because of the fact that they'll say, they say my max is 400, and then the one comes on the market and somebody gives it a flaky number like 405. And so I set it for like 410 because that way they'll be like, you didn't show us this house. And I'm like, it was over the mark, you know, like you didn't want us. Did you not like that real estate agent that had it listed? No. So I always do it over the amount. Buy and sell with Deborah with Mackin Realty says, can I have his information, please? Oh, she wants your information. Look at you, Trevor Smith. Trevor. Trevor, what's your screen name on the Mortgage Wingman? He's on YouTube.
You can find me Trevor Smith, the Mortgage Wingman, or shoot me an email at trevors@amerifirst.us.
Oh, look at
there he is.
Eddie's so good,
look
man.
At him. So
Eddie, the producer extraordinaire.
Man.
Oh, look at your surprise face. Yeah. Trevor's got some massive YouTuber face.
I try to copy from the best.
Yeah, please. No, indeed. I do help you with your thumbnails occasionally, not gonna lie.
Yeah, every now and then.
Every now and then I'll throw up my 2 cents in there. But yeah, he does know the number, so you just reach out to him there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, once you have that fully underwritten, loan file, that kind of unlocks what we call our Cash is King program. And again, we're not here to be an iBuyer. So the way we structure this, we work hand in hand with both the buyer and their real estate agent, is because we want the agent is writing basically an assignable contract with a 10-day inspection period, because ultimately that inspection period is not for us, it's for you, the buyer. We want to make sure you know what you're getting into. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, but it's really to protect you. And, you can close in as little as 2 weeks, just like we can, with a protect your transaction file. What we're doing though, is as soon as you go under contract on that property, let's say you have the winning offer, we're already fully underwritten your loan file. We're working on that loan for you so we can assign that contract over to you and close that loan with you prior to us needing to actually put forward the company money to buy the house. And when we're able to do that and close that loan with you, then there's no fee for the service. Because
I have a question.
Yeah.
Hold on one second. What if somebody was trying to buy a house with an LLC or an S Corp? Could they do that with that program?
I think so. I don't know if we've come across that yet. So that'd be something
I was just wondering, because then that's like, I was wondering that because it kind of falls into that like corporation thing.
Sure.
I know we have had investors use the program to purchase investment properties. So, but I mean, you don't have to be an investor. The only loans we can't do it on are USDA and FHA. Because of like the flipping rule, on those. So you can do this on VA or conventional. But really how the process works, let's say you find a house listed at 300,000 and, it's a competitive market. You're going to tell us, here's the house that I want to write the offer on. Then we reach out to our appraisal management company, and within 24 hours, we conduct what's called a desktop appraisal. So we have an idea of the value of the house, and we're going to tell you, hey, we think this house, it looks good at 300,000. So that gives you a level of confidence to waive the appraisal when you write the offer, because you kind of already know what it should likely appraise for. That being said, a field appraisal still has to be done. So that's really the only thing that we're waiting on. And that happens during that 10-day inspection period. So you as the buyer,
it's almost like appraisal, like when they do refinance appraisals, they kind of do that, the desktop. Eddie, you had a question that popped up there, and it kind of goes along with what Trevor was saying a little bit too. It says, time to put my properties under an LLC and remove my name off the public records. David, Would that be correct? How have I said it? 'Cause-
Davide Sagletta.
Oh, that's a cool name. Anyways, I have to ask, do you plan on doing this to avoid like paying certain kinds of taxes? Are you doing this to hide your identity? I want to know. Like, inquire your mind, so you want to know.
Right.
But it is a good way to, like, if you do have many properties and you're worried about the, implications of being sued, it's good to have properties in different LLCs or S corps or whatever your tax person suggests that you do. Don't listen to me, listen to your tax person.
I always did it because I just didn't want an angry tenant to show up at my house.
Yes. Yeah. And everything's public record.
Exactly.
Yeah. Everything's public record. Peter says, what is owner's equivalent rent? And why does the Fed use that to calculate inflation as opposed to actual rents? I don't know the answer to this. Do you know the answer to this, Trevor?
I'm not familiar.
Owner's equivalent rent. Eddie, the producer, could you pull that up? Owner's equivalent rent.
Whenever I look at the inflation, I always look at the CPI, and I just am laser CPI. What is CPI? And I don't look at other
The
things.
Fed likes to use a lot of magic with their numbers.
Magic. No.
Do you think the Fed uses?
No,
crystal
there's
ball?
no fuzzy math.
No.
It's all on the up and up. It's crystal clear. We know exactly where every tax dollar goes in the United States. Okay,
OER.
OER. Owner's equivalent rent is the amount of rent that would have to be paid in order to substitute a current owned house as a rental property. This value is offered to as rental equivalent. In other words, OER figures the amount of the monthly rent that would be equivalent to the monthly expenses of owning a property. Oh, so it's like basically what it would be with a mortgage at that specific time? Is that what they're saying?
Taxes, insurance, electricity, all that.
I don't know if you heard Eddie. His mortgage, taxes, everything rolled into one. So that's how they figure out the rent for that specific area. Well, that makes sense because there's no investors coming in all the time, and that's how they figure out how much rent is going to go up in the area. So whenever home prices go up, that's why rent prices go up.
Right.
Yeah. So some renters make it go up. Eddie and I have kept our same rent since we bought the rental properties. We have the best rent. We have the best rent in town. So I'm like, oh, this is all we need to make. Mm-hmm. And this is what we need to save up for. And this is what we need to have on the back end for repairs.
CapEx.
Yeah. And then I'm like, everything after that, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We're fine. We don't need extra. Patricia Peeler says, do you see a housing market coming down in like 2008? I have an opinion about this, but what is your opinion? Trevor, go ahead and give your opinion.
No, I mean, I think certain markets we've gotten really excessively inflated. And I think you might see some stagnation or maybe even a small decline, but they're going to be very localized to specific zip codes and areas. It's not going to be on a national scale. It's just not.
What do you say?
There's too many factors at play. There's low interest rates. There's millennials coming of age. And I've talked about this at length, where their debt to income ratio is way differently with student loans versus other consumer debt. So we had a whole bunch of millennials that hit the market, and they're not going away because they need houses because they're in that stage of life. There's construction costs that have gone through the roof, and there's a labor shortage of people in the construction industry. So those four factors are all coming together. So there is not going to be a correction or a decline. Like Trevor said, there's going to be like micro corrections in some select zip codes, in some markets, especially like vacation homes or secondary markets, things like that. Those things hit first. But overall, no.
And when you compare it to the housing market that was happening in 2008, that is a direct effect of what's happening right now because of the 2008 market crashing. The people that were building homes, they're like, we're never going to build homes at the level that we were building them in years past. We cannot keep up this level. And so what you saw was a decrease of new home construction every single year since before the beginning of the pandemic. And now, of course, it's gone down even more because we have a shortage of supplies of homes that could be built. You're not getting your lumber, your nails, and everything else. So with the decrease in supply, interest rates still pretty low, and the fact that we can't get as many houses built, I just don't see a crash or looking anywhere near like it did in 2008. Not only that, we had these really kooky loans that were out there, these interest only balloon payment type of loans, and like these ridiculous loans. A friend
I get my 80-15-5. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a friend who bought a house. And I'm like, how did she get a house? Like, I was shocked that she got a house. And I'm like, I'm like, how much was your house? She was like $400,000. I'm like, oh my God. And I told Eddie, I'm like, how did she do that? He was like, well, we were approved for 200,000. I'm like, this is our first home, by the way. And I was like, how did we get approved for 200,000? I mean, I was a hairdresser at the time, and he was working at a car dealership, I think, at that moment. I don't remember. Maybe it was Sprint. I don't know. But we were just young. We didn't have kids yet. There's no reason why she should have gotten a loan for 400,000. And sure enough, she lost that house. She was one of those people who was foreclosed on. But whatever. We didn't lose ours. We didn't overspend.
Mm-hmm.
We got a regular old FHA loan. She's like, you shouldn't have done that. Your payments could have been so much cheaper a month. I'm like, who kept their house? Who kept their house?
Instant gratification.
Yeah. CC Moon says, crystal ball question. Any more 2022 craziness? Is there going to be any more 2022? If you had told me there was going to be a war and
Didn't have it on my bingo card.
No, I did not. I didn't. I'm kind of over it. I keep saying it all the time. I don't know about you, Trevor, but I say it all the time. I'm done. I'm so done with living in unprecedented times. I'm so sick of everything in these unprecedented times. I really want the top story to be how a little girl was rescued from a well or something like that. We need one of those stories.
Yeah. In today's normal, boring headlines.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what we need.
Yeah. Revlon changed their logo today, something like that. Mm-hmm. And everybody being up on arms over it that the logo changed. That's what I want. I want a tan suit controversy, like I need something so stupid that I'd be like, yes, we're back to normal. Go walk in the grocery store and everything be on the shelves.
Oh my gosh.
Tons of houses for my buyers to look at that is in their price range.
Normal market.
Yeah. And like everybody, like what we consider right now a median price home. The medium priced employee can't buy a house because we don't have any medium priced homes here at all. I don't know how it is in your area. I'm kind of done. I'm ready for it to be back to normal. I'm sure everybody else is too.
Yeah.
Next question, Eduardo. Throw it up in the chat. Keith Wakefield, 88. I want to know if you're related to Roger Wakefield, who is a fantastic plumber here on YouTube. Anyways, question. I'm transferring for work. If I sell my house, where is the best place to store the money until I find a new home in the new state? That is a Trevor question. Go ahead, Trevor. Where would be the best place for him to sock his funds until he buys a new house?
Not under your mattress.
That's a terrible place.
So yeah, I mean, because it's kind of joke about it, but it's funny. We've had buyers, that like, hey, I've got all $30,000 in cash, and it's like that's one of the worst things for a lender because it's like and trying to prove where the money came from and everything else. So whenever you sell a house, obviously talk to your financial advisor. But if you're planning, in my opinion, if you're planning on using that money again in the near future to purchase another house, then it needs to be in some sort of savings account or money market that's, not subject to a lot of risk that you can easily access. Right.
Yeah. Like that's the point, that you can easily access. Yeah. Because that sometimes you'll end up putting it someplace and you're like, oh, I didn't expect I was going to buy a house in 30 days. And now you're going to wait another 10 days because you just put the money in there. Mm-hmm. They're like, no, you can't just keep moving money around. And as much as like everybody likes to talk about electronic coins, I'm not even going to say the word because it invites the bots out. Mm-hmm. Yes. Don't do it. Don't put it there because that's a volatile market. Don't put it there. Even though you can get it out really quick. I'm just saying, don't do it.
Or even like a CD, people, think of like a CD, but CD is going to lock you into a certain term. And so if your plans change and you need that money sooner, may not be the best decision for you. But I'm not a financial advisor.
Yeah, check with your financial advisor. I'll shut up. I'm not even going to go touch that. Because, honestly, the reason why we don't do that is because it can get us in trouble because we are not financial advisors.
That's right.
So these are just our opinions. Do not take anything that we say about your money as the salt of the earth. Like, make sure you... those people are labeled for that. We're just real estate agents. We can tell you about properties. Question: because of a competitive single family home market do you think hidden issues could make investment less lucrative, especially for older homes that need TLC? Not like the
TV show.
Not like the TV show. I have an opinion about this. Okay, so if you are buying a piece of property that you're going to use for a rental unit, it's never a bad idea. Like, honestly, even if the market was to go down, it's still a profit performing investment, especially if you're going to rent it out. If you've bought correctly, I don't think it's an unwise decision. What do you say, Tanya?
I always advise a thorough home inspection, even if you're an experienced investor, first-time home buyer, and experienced. It's like attorneys say they don't represent themselves in legal actions and in court. Even if you're an experienced investor, get a real inspection and just to discover those hidden issues. And because of the 5 reasons we dictated before, we don't think that the investment will still pay dividends in the long run.
What do you say there, Trevor?
Yeah, spot on with the advice as always, you two ladies. I mean, and that, like I said, that's one of the reasons why we require that inspection with our cash buy program. Whether you're using it as investment property or primary residence, you need to make sure that there's nothing that's going to significantly impact the value of the home that either the seller chose not to disclose, which is a whole nother issue, or that the seller didn't even know about themselves.
Right. And I do want to say one more thing, because I thought about this when you were saying lawyers don't represent themselves. If you ever see a sign and you're driving around and it says owner agent, usually that means that the person that's selling the house is the owner, right? As real estate agents, I don't personally, if I'm selling my house, I have a real estate agent representing me because I don't want any responsibility for it. Because you're putting yourself in some liability by not disclosing everything, right? As a consumer, you should be equally as concerned. I'm not saying all real estate agents do this. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying just because it says owner agent doesn't mean that they couldn't withhold information that would be pertinent to the house. So definitely have that home inspection. Even if you're waiving inspections, you have the home inspection to say in that contract, waiving inspections unless the home inspector finds X amount of dollars more in damages to the house that won't be addressed by the seller. So for instance, if there was a problem with the roof or the AC unit, those things, and you say, well, I don't want to pay this amount of money if the house has $25,000 worth of repairs that need to be done to it. Make sure you have that done, even if it doesn't say owner agent, but just be very cautious of that. That's all. I just wanted to throw that out there because lawyers don't represent themselves and neither should real estate agents. That's what, So anyways, eclectic. Thank you. Eclectic Soul ASMR says, is interest rates higher for cash buy program? Is interest rate higher for that?
No,
Trevor.
It's the same interest rate, same terms. So again, we as a company benefit because we're doing the loan. Now, if you choose to do the loan and close the loan with somebody else, that's where there's a fee. So if we use our funds to purchase the property, there's a 1.5% fee for that. Or if you get the loan with somebody else, that fee would apply. Obviously, like we're not going to do all this work and then buy the house for you just to let another lender close on it and us lose money.
Sure.
So,
okay. So if you guys do it, though, there is no fee.
Yep. So as long as we can close your loan prior to us needing to use our money to buy the house, there's no fee. But if let's say something happens and I don't know, job change or something that impacts that loan now, and we can't close by the contract date, As a company, we will honor the terms of the contract and we'll purchase that house from the seller for whatever the price is on the contract. At that point, you incur a 1.5% fee. And then until we close on the loan, it's 8% annualized per diem. So like on a $400,000 property, that's about $60 a day.
To me, that's a lot of money.
Well, but
it depends on the buyer, I guess.
So I'll tell you right now, about 80% of the people that do this program, we don't buy the house. We close the loan with them. So it's only about 20. And even in those cases, it's only a matter, usually about 5 days or less, that we're needing extra to close on those loans, and it's usually due to appraisal timelines because it's a, high demand appraisal area. And even in those cases, we typically advise the buyer, look, appraisal might be $700. If you pay an extra $1,000, the appraisal company will rush it ahead. And, now we won't have to worry about this. And that $1,000 is a lot cheaper than a 1.5% fee and an 8% per diem.
Just had that done actually last week.
And you said something about appraisals too. I want to tell everybody that there's been like this trend with appraisers recently that they'll go out to the house, they'll actually take the pictures and do everything, and we never get the appraisal back. And it's not the real estate agent's fault. I don't know what's happening with appraisal people. It's not just our specific area. It isn't like I've been talking to people across the country and they're like, they came out there, appraiser came out there. We cannot get them to give us the appraisal. Like, I don't know what they're doing. So anyways, go ahead, Trevor.
It's certainly an issue. We haven't seen too many of that, at least on the ones that we've been doing. I will say, a lot of people say, well, how does this compare to everybody else, the other services? Because Ribbon Home is like a very popular one, at least in the Southeast, because they have about 7 states that they do it in. And the big thing is like Ribbon is not a lender. So, even if you don't need their money, they're still going to charge you a fee no matter what. And also their fee can be as high as 2.75%. And they still charge you rent on the backside if they can't, close the loan, or if you can't close the loan in time. So overall, it's not, we
always
really
read the fine print, in other words. But those programs always read the fine print.
Yeah.
Eddie, pull up that one that I saw. That one that I don't know if you've seen this one. It's called Homie, HOMIE. Have you seen this one?
I saw that pop up. I didn't get a chance to look at it though.
Let's read about it. Let's read about some Homie Cash. Homie Cash allows buyers to make it all cash offers on homes. Salt Lake City, as the housing market continues to set records and low inventory, increased buying competition, cash is king. Today, Homie Loans announced Homie Cash, a new program that allows buyers to make all cash offers to drastically increase their chances of winning the perfect home. Cash offers are 3 times more likely to win competitive bidding war, and making it one of the most effective strategies to improve a buyer's likelihood of their offer of being accepted. I watched too many of our customers from first-time home buyers to empty nesters lose out on the home they really wanted because of investors or cash buyers. We saw the need and started Homie Cash. On average, there are 4 or more offers made on a home in Utah and Colorado. In Utah, the number of cash offers increased by 58%. From the previous year in June. Cash offers represent 17% of transactions compared to 10% the year before. Colorado cash offers as a percentage of total transactions have increased year after year. In Denver metro area, jumping up from 11.5%. All transactions in June of 2020 are 20.2% of all transactions of 2021. Participating in the Homie Cash is buyers complete the short application. Boy, they make it sound so simple. They just apply for a short application to qualify for the program. Once the application is submitted, the Homie Loan will pre-approve buyers to ensure their eligibility, conforming with mortgage before setting an offer on the property. Once approved, they work with the Homie real estate agent. Oh, the Homie real estate agent to make their all cash offers with Homie funds. So this is just in Colorado and everything. So you have to work with their specific real estate agent. They have a whole process with this. It looks like there's probably going to be a charge. here's the thing, like where are you at, Trevor? It isn't just in Colorado.
Yeah,
and-
so I'm licensed in a handful of states in the Southeast, but the program is wherever the company does business, which right now is over 40 states.
So yeah, so your company
yeah.
has with over 40 states. So if there's something
Yeah.
you want to be interested, if you're interested in, Trevor can't help you. At least
Yeah.
maybe you can hook him up.
You can use your own real estate agent. We don't have a homie.
You don't have to use
The vertically integrated model.
You don't have to use the wingman real estate agent. Are you a wingman in other states, Trevor? What states are you a wingman in?
So I'm personally licensed in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, and soon to be Texas as well. But again, I have a couple loan officers I work with within the company that offer coverage in about 40 different states. So,
Guys, I don't think that's what he meant.
Are your exes in Texas? Yeah. And you're also a pilot. People don't know that he is a pilot, man.
I've got the
pilot
back behind me.
Yeah,
So
see?
so that's kind of where Mortgage Wingman came from, because like in the fighter pilot community, like the wingman role is so important and vital to the mission, playing that supporting role. And so really like that's what I want to be, because every time I went to get a loan, or buy a house, even, I moved 11 times in 20 years. It was always a challenge and a struggle. And I know veterans will understand that, but a lot of times with the loan officers and stuff, like I didn't have any idea what I was doing, and no one really explained, oh, well, you could do this instead of this and that. So for me, like that's one of my things. I really want to, try to give back to a lot of veterans, and that's the majority of my clients are veterans, just because of the community and network that I have. But it's I'm there to be your wingman to kind of help you get from point A all the way to the target. So
do you think that there is a lack of education when it comes to home buying for veterans? Is that like across the board, or is that just the Air Force, or is that every branch of military service that you feel like there's a I don't know. I'm asking.
Yeah, no, I think there absolutely is a lack of education. I think there's a statistic out there that shows it's only like a third of veterans have ever used their VA loan benefits because they just don't know that it even exists. I think the service has gotten a little bit better about, highlighting that there's a VA loan option, but they don't, unless you deliberately seek out financial advice classes in the military, like you're not going to find out about that stuff. And even for me, like when I was transitioning out of service and retiring, they have like this transition program that all people go through. They don't really talk as much about like specific things about the VA loan and other things when it comes to buying a house as you transition out of service.
Wow. That kind of stinks. Eclectic Soul ASMR, I'll never say his name wrong ever again. Does the as cash loan have a higher interest rates or additional fees? We covered that, but with Trevor's, it does not. As long as you close with his company, right? That's right, right, Trevor?
Yeah. So same interest rate is in it. Well, here's the thing too. You may not even need to use the program, right? Because the first step is that fully underwritten loan file. So if you present an offer and you tell the seller I can close in 2 weeks, a lot of times that's more than enough to win the contract.
Right. Right.
So.
How do you say that name?
Mladen Onkov. Question: have you seen the news this week from a house for sale in Raleigh, North Carolina? Quote, $260,000 house on market swarmed with shoppers, end quote.
I haven't seen the headline, but apparently Eddie has. North Carolina house was swarmed with interested shoppers just hours after hitting the market for $260,000. I bet you. I know that I was just there last weekend, and I don't doubt that for 1 minute. Okay, yeah. It says. To get a vivid picture of the housing inventory situation facing many parts of the U.S., look no further than the recent Facebook post from a real estate agent in Raleigh, North Carolina. Shortly after 5 p.m. on Tuesday, Monica Edwards was wrapping up a showing with a client at Lafferty Court when she paused to make a video showing the lines of cars and people arriving to look at the newly listed home. Someone stopped me and they wanted to know what was going on in the neighborhood. And I just told them the truth. We're having a housing crisis, Edward said in the video. That's why I say it's really honestly not a
Okay, everyone.
not a housing crash. It's an affordability crisis because this at 260. I mean, look at that. That is absolute insanity. And I haven't seen anything like this since right before the last housing crash. But that was due to the fact that everybody had a loan. I mean, you're a dog walker that farms gecko eggs, and now you can get a $550,000 loan. Like that's not the same case. These buyers are not the same as they were in years previous. So. Yeah.
And I'd venture to guess too, if you go to any major metropolitan market and you list a home for under 300,000 that's in a decent neighborhood, you're going to see the exact same thing.
Yep.
50 cars lined up.
CC Moon wants to see the dog. Let's see if we can move this out of the way. This is Daisy May. This is one of 3 dogs. I have 2 others. I used to have a puppy camera that you guys could see because the puppies used to lay down here, but my other camera has yet to have been connected. It's getting close, and then we'll have the puppy cam back on. Daisy May, she's a kind of a pain in the butt,
and then she bumps me continually, and I'm like, okay, I'm on it. I can multitask.
Yeah, she'll annoy her. Most of the time, this door's closed, but I'm trying to get I will try to get the cats to come here, to be honest with you. Debbie Brady says, your dreams coach says, how much do you think that the mortgage rates will go up in the next year? I had a prediction, and I said that we'll probably end the year at between 4.5 and 4.75. And people thought I was absolutely crazy, but I was leaning more towards 4.5, but now I'm leaning more towards 4.75. What do you say?
I think 4.75. Is probably going to be where, but and that's assuming things with Russia kind of stabilize, at some point here, because if not, all bets are off. But I think we'll get a really good read here in a couple of weeks when the next Fed meeting takes place. So, what
is your guess, Tanya?
Well, I think this has to always be in the context of if I'm in my mid-30s and my parents bought their first home and it was double-digit interest rates. It was like 16, 17%. So even if it goes 5, 6, 7%, it's still a dang good interest rate, but certainly somewhere in the
but it reduces your purchase power, though.
Absolutely.
For like a first-time home buyer,
absolutely,
to go from 3.5% to 4.5%, that's a big deal.
Jump.
Yeah, that's a big jump for them. And I can see how that would be really harmful, especially since home prices aren't coming down. It doesn't really work out for you.
That's true.
I get that. You were going to say something, Trevor?
Yeah, I was just going to say the thing though is like we're not in a normal market where with rising rates, like even with a higher rate, you're still cheaper with that mortgage than renting because of the surge in rent prices. So
rent prices are so bad
because that's the trade-off, right? Like if you need housing, like am I going to pay for a mortgage or am I going to rent? And even at, let's say rates were at 5%, it's probably still cheaper to get that mortgage if you qualify than to go rent a house. So buyers are going to keep making that decision.
Yeah, true that. Harry Vanda says, new single family home, does it still other inspection from other house than builder and pre-construction started? What are my options for APR look? So even if you're buying a brand new house, you should always have an inspection. It depends on your like what stage of the house is being built. If it's already being built, it's just a regular inspection. But if you are getting a brand new house and it hasn't like broke ground yet, I would have your inspector come out there several times during the building process, and your inspector will have a new home inspection rate, so they go out there 1, 2, maybe even 4 times before the final inspection, because that way they're checking your foundation to make sure it was poured correctly and there was a correct pour done to it. They're also checking when it was framed to make sure the framing was done correctly. And even though there's a county and state inspection that does that, I'm not saying that palms are greased or anything, but in some places palms can be greased and things pass that inspection that doesn't necessarily shouldn't have, I had somebody just said, like, I don't know if you guys watch this program often, but I had somebody send me pictures. It was here in the state of Louisiana, and the foundation is like literally like you could take your hand and just kick your foot, and it's just crumbling underneath them. Brand new house, completely built. Spectre was going out there on the final inspection, but this, he didn't see it. He didn't know about it until the end, and he's like, "This is they've already plumbed this. This thing all needs to be teared down because this is." And you know what, the builder will just try to fix it, or send a concrete guy out there, or a inspection, or concrete foundation inspection repair person to fix it instead of
protect yourself. Have a plumber, have an electrician, have a inspector that comes out
multiple times.
Yeah,
I would not.
yeah. We experienced our own horror story as newlyweds, purchasing a new construction house and didn't do inspections. And after we moved in, we noticed that the toilet was always backing up, and they kept checking it, and then they finally found that what had happened was it was on a slab, but the plumbing through the slab was sloped at the wrong angle because they installed it incorrectly. And so the only way for them to fix it is they had to come in the middle of our house, rip up all the flooring, concrete saw, cut everything out, and put it all back together again.
Wow.
My
parents bought a brand new house.
Things happen,
Yeah.
Inspections help.
Yep. The same kind of thing happened to my parents, except for there is a wood block that was stuck in one of the pipes. And so they had to dig out the whole front yard. And sure, because they couldn't figure it out. Like, they kept this is before you could stick cameras down in pipes. And they couldn't figure it out. They kept, sticking like a tube down there, and like there was something that was getting stuck. And then finally they figured it out, and they had to dig through the whole front yard, all through their brand new landscaping and everything. My mom put hundreds of thousands, like a lot of money into this landscaping, all dug out. And there was a wood block, a little piece, that where you cut off the boards, the 2x4s, just a little end piece that was stuck in there. And it was catching on all the toilet paper and stuff. It's beautiful, beautiful. The neighbors loved us for that smell. But we got it fixed. But that's why you always have an inspection done during those times. You always have that done. Joe has a question. Do you know if corporate investors are over leveraged, or are they carrying a lot of debt? No, they're not. Investors invest in real estate to do one thing, and that is to offset inflation. The more you see inflation, the more you're going to see more big investors buy more real estate. It's been since the dawn of real estate. That's what investors have always done, is they buy more real estate to offset inflation. What do you say, Trevor?
Yeah, absolutely.
Trevor says, yeah. Made a few words. Yeah. It is what it is.
It's tough. Jake, like you're always so on point, so.
And I'm cute. Jay says, do you recommend getting a real estate lawyer when applying for a loan? We did this month, and we were very glad. I say get a real estate lawyer when you are investing a lot of money into something that is like your own personal money that isn't tied to a loan, especially if it's in a property, if you're dealing with family. If you're buying a house from another family member, get yourself your own real estate lawyer. If you're not 100% confident with the title company that's working on your property that you're purchasing, get yourself a real estate attorney. And anytime during a transaction that you don't feel comfortable, if the contract was explained to you correctly, get yourself a real estate attorney. Always do that. If you're not feeling like the process is working out in the way that it should be for your benefit, get yourself a real estate attorney.
And Pennsylvania is a non-attorney state, but I always recommend people do, and almost nobody does. But that being said, most title companies have a staff attorney to prep the deed, which is the one thing that an attorney absolutely does have to do, no matter what, every transaction.
Here in Louisiana, we have the title attorney closes the transactions.
Okay.
It's a closing attorney, and they explain all the things, and they settle the title issues that are with the property, and then they also file the title insurance. But they, if they'll even say, look, this is beyond my scope. If you feel like you know that you need a title or a real estate attorney, here's the number of some people that I know, you're more than welcome to call them. Like they admit it, like they're like, wait, this is beyond our scope. We're going to go ahead and call somebody else. Jay Stratton says, is there much risk benefits in owner financing to speed up real estate transactions? Is there much risk benefits in owner financing to speed up real estate transactions? I don't know. Are you the one that's financing it? Yeah, that's
in my
the
landlord.
seller's going to carry it. Yeah. So like if the seller owns a property and they're going to carry the note, and finance, I don't know, from what I've seen, you're probably not going to get the best interest rate.
That's right.
From a seller. So, now it might be more flexible, like if you don't necessarily have the credit, but also I know a lot of sellers are probably going to be asking for a much larger deposit on those terms too. So it really just depends. So I would always recommend at least applying for your typical loan, conventional or whatnot, and see what those terms are and compare before making a decision.
I could wear Kristina's mug as a hat. I don't know if you guys see, Lawnmower is usually in here, and he says, he always says the cup's actually normal size. It's just Kristina that's really size. See, the cup is normal size. He says it's just Kristina's really, really small.
That's funny.
See, the cup's normal size. It's just I'm really tiny. Nikki says, can Trevor's company help me with a loan for a purchase in California? Are you in California?
Yes, absolutely. Just you can send me a message. Yeah.
Yep. Trevor's information is on his channel, right? In your about section.
Yeah, it's either there or you can, on the description of every video, I've got my contact info as well.
Yeah. So you hit the little button under the title, there's like a little arrow, hit that little arrow and it will have all of his information under one of his videos. Joanna Munez says, have you have a 3-apartment rental in San Francisco and have debt to pay? Don't have renters, want to sell. Friend told me to ask for a loan to upgrade and then sell it for more. Do you think that it was worth it in this market? This is going to, I would talk to a local real estate agent in that specific area. Because if you could walk away from it and get out of debt right now and you're not like behind on your bills, then maybe you should just go that route. In other cases, it may behoove you to, if you do these little bit of repairs that would cost you $30,000, you get $60,000 to $100,000 back. It might work out. The problem with that is that you're going to have a hard time finding contractors to actually show up to your site, especially if they're plumbers. Plumbers, it's the hardest thing to find in the whole entire world, and get them to show up when they say they're going to show up. Just FYI, if you're having a problem finding a real estate agent in that San Francisco area, I'm connected with real estate agents throughout the country. Just go to my website at KristinaSmallhorn.com, fill out the referral form, and I'll get contacted with you ASAP. Harry says, question, great. Thanks for all the advice regarding the APR lock on my single. Will be ready by June's end. What are my options? And is it advisable to lock the APR soon as, and also please shed some light on an ARM?
Adjustable rate mortgage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you say? This is you, my friend. Because I have a
so
when I hear adjustable rate mortgage, I go
PTSD.
Yeah, I have a little.
So like a lot of lenders, you can do a 90-day rate lock. When you do a 90-day rate lock, the cost is sometimes a little bit higher, or the interest rate might be a little bit higher. So that's something you always want to consider. What's the trade-off? What's the likelihood rates are going to go up? That sort of thing. So think about that and have the loan officer walk you through the different options and the risks that you take with each of those options, as well as the cost and fees. And then for adjustable rate mortgages, I'm not a fan. So I would say that when it comes to adjustable rate mortgage, if you are going to pursue an adjustable rate mortgage, like I would recommend at least a 7-year or 10-year adjustable rate mortgage rather than a 3 or 5 year, because most people aren't, will sell their home, by the time they get to that 7-year point. Usually you may not sell by 5 years, and most people aren't going to sell it in 3 years. So you don't want that risk of that mortgage or that rate resetting while you're still in the home. And right now, the spread between what you can get on a conventional 30-year fixed versus, a 7 or a 10-year adjustable rate isn't that significant where it would benefit you necessarily on an adjustable rate. But you could always get a quote and take a look at the options and see where the numbers fall.
Always good advice, my friend Trevor Smith. Thank you very much for filling in at the last minute. And he says, I might want to sell my house and move into Kristina's mug. I've been told it's as big as a swimming pool. So
it's a tiny home.
Trevor, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely. I always love coming on here.
Yay. And you'll be coming out here again, I'm sure. And I appreciate you doing that. Everybody, if you have any questions here after the stream, make sure you put it in the comment section below. Trevor does go through and starts answering questions. So if you have any questions specifically for Trevor, that'd be great. And Trevor, go ahead and make a comment, and I'll pin your comment at the top so you can ask your questions.
Sure thing.
Just put, ask your questions here, and then I'll pin your question, your comment at the top so people can ask their questions right there. And if you want to subscribe to his YouTube channel, there it is, Trevor Smith, the mortgage wingman. And he's also a real estate agent. I don't know if anybody else knew that. So he does know a little bit of real estate contract stuff for you. So anyways, thank you so much. Thank you, Tanya, our Pittsburgh real estate agent here. Did I say Pittsburgh? I said Pittsburgh. I was like, oh my God, thank God I didn't say Philadelphia. I almost went there. I was almost there. This is her website. If you need to get a hold of Tanya right there in the Pittsburgh area, make sure you reach out to her on her website. It's Tanya Cool, who's cooler than the other side of the pillow. That should be her catchphrase, but it's not. I want her to put it on all of her business signs. Anyways, thank you so much, everybody. You have a fantastic week. It was lovely seeing you, and I will see you on Tuesday when my video is released. There's my website right there. Eddie likes to put that up. If you need to get a hold of me, you can fill out the contact form. Just hit the request a consultation or book a call with me. You can hit one of those. Gives you 2 forms, either a collaboration or a referral. So I appreciate everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Bye, everybody.
Is it time to dance?
Is it time to dance? I don't know. Eddie, you gonna put some music on? We're gonna dance one out. We're gonna throw some. We're gonna make dance. Oh, look, Trevor dancing.
You got me going this time.
There it goes. Trevor danced. We can dance if we want to. You can leave your friends behind. I don't have any friends though. Not ones that want to admit they're friends with me.